Wednesday? Wednesday. I have no idea. So today we're gonna finish. We're not gonna draw on this drawing anymore. I think it's enough what's there. I will draw it in a posed version, and I will finish it offline, I think. But my intention is to make a concept art sheet where we see it from the side. Should I actually switch? Let's do it like this. Where we see it from the side, posed, whatever information we need in order to whatever information needed in order to have it explained, right? And I will render one view up at a later point. Hey Bruno Romanos, how's it going? Oh, Bruno Romanos. So the intent now is to sketch up acceptable posed front view and then an additional loose sketch of compression. So we'll see how that goes today. Hopefully it'll be good. Hey Captain Jetlag, what's cooking? Cooking with gasoline. So that's the intention for today, is to concept up front view, explanation, and having a pretty much clear concept page of the crab. Let's call it the crab. Hey Boss, how's it going? Captain Boss, ow! 1 minute, wolf back. I posted, by the way, on Discord. Hey Zelin. Some art from what was his name? Brosa? Under useful links. Sergey Brosa, which is Borderlands 3 concept art. And there you'll see very clearly, we had this discussion of what is concept art. I think there it's very clear what is concept art. Why is my mouse acting up like this? I don't understand. Sometimes it's an idiotic. Here, it's like a lot of this is concept art. Variations, sketches, explanations. This is everyday concept art. You just do this all day long. Versus the fancy pants, snazzy illustrations. Hey Ice Die, how's it going? Captain Jetlag, quick sculpting. Oh my, oh my. Atsuki, how's it going? Zialin, you're back. Fantastic. You been effing busy? Or busy effing? Because you can be that too, you know? Nothing relevant to career-wise. All right. So, pose. I think it's really important that we show Um, we show the interlocking aspect. Important that we show the sneakiness. So my idea is to have an S-curve and a little bit of a torso, kind of hint of human anatomy. A little bit, just like the sensation of it. Something is freaky about this thing, right? And then the back legs. So it's important to nail the pose, right? Because in concept art, it's just as much as what you don't show as what you show. And you can see on this view, it's quite stiff. It doesn't have a lot of personality other than the kind of configurement of the body. Eyes die, and it's nice. So the idea here, right, is to reading the chat in silence. So the idea is you should try to capture the characteristics of the beast in the pose, right? Because a lot of times, especially when it's for professional work and bigger teams, if you would show a concept to any other person other than the artist or the art director, they extrapolate information from what they're given and not from the potential of what they're given. Most of the times, like a lot of times in my career, what's happened is I've done a concept, the audio engineer comes and goes like, "Hey, listen, this concept you did," and then he starts, or she, I mean, wow, zeolite, 1550. That is mighty kind of you. Mighty kind of you, Zeolin. Oh, Jesus. Oh, cheese, cheddar, Jesus. Anyway, so the audio guy comes and is like, "Hey," and start extrapolating information from what you sketched out in terms of, like, oh, what if the character sounds like this, or what if it's like that, and it's all based on what you've done and what you present the team as a concept artist, right? So it's extremely important that when you're making these decisions about pose, decisions about design, as you see it, it's extremely important that you weigh your moves, because not only do they reflect who you are and your taste, they should, but they should also be informative, especially as a concept artist, right? And they should be loaded with information in terms of weight, character, pose, shapes, material, texture, anything that the idea, it's a part of the idea that you can, almost like a recipe, say, we need a pinch of attitude, pinch of wet material, 2 scoops of pointiness or whatever, but it all needs to be in there. And that's why it's so important to, like I mentioned before, like about breaking down a concept. And someone asked, is this usually the thought? Like I go into these depth in terms of ideas or concepts on every time I do a concept, and that is why every time I do a concept, I base it on an idea, and with that idea, I base all my shape decisions and attitude of the character, the pose of the character, all these things are all based on the idea that I've generated, that I'm basing the concept on. So in this sense, in this example, like the hey Joe, how's it going? How's it going? I am episodes this year were amazing. Sorry, Zealin. Just just poking a little bit fun of you. Cheers, thank you. Hey Miguel, what up? Weeping Jay, how's it going? Hey Joe. Gria, what's up? All you new people, all you Joe, all you so much monsterites, welcome. We are currently developing a concept for all you 30 new people. The idea, which I'm basing this on, is it's a little bit of an IP I'm playing around with over the past few years, and the idea is that it's the Axis versus the Americans, Second World War, but Second World War that's taking place, or actually World War III, taking place in inner Earth, in old lava tunnels, with pressure suits and pressure tanks and war, so on. And the third faction being kind of inner Earth creatures, which are exists in pockets of vacuum or high pressure pockets of air. So they are these kind of crushed diamond creatures. I call them crabs, but they need a better name. And I'm currently designing them. So last 2 episodes, not counting Monday was Study Monday, I've been developing the concept, talking you through my thought process, and kind of justifying, not really justifying maybe, but explaining certain design elements I enjoy and why I want them in the concept. And now we reached a point where the concept is more or less at a point where it's have all the elements, combine them into a version, found this shape language, and now I'm pushing the shape language. Fourth faction, just 99% Baby Yoda, except that 1%, which is Mama Yoda, which is more or less like a what are they called? Spiders that have all the nest on the back, but imagine the nest on the back being a belly, so it's a big old fat Mama Yoda with all the Baby Yodas kind of like just lounging, crawling around on her. Ice Dye, what would these make sound-wise? I think because they are in a high-pressure environment, they wouldn't make noises with lungs, right? And because the basic idea of them, as you can see here, is that they are when they are in normal pressure, they expand and they can create cavities and they can become larger. And when they're in their vacuum place, they intersect the body parts and they crush down into this kind of really thin crab. And then when they breach and they come into the normal, they expand and become big and dangerous. So because they're in such a high pressure environment, they can't really talk because, you know, pressure. And if you open a hole into the body, it's not a good idea. That's why I made them insectoid. So they maybe click, they maybe screech, they maybe, I don't know what they do, but they definitely need to make a noise. I'm assuming it's more screeching or rattling than you know. Zealand, yeah, exactly. Some nasty noises, and because also in the idea of them, right, is that they are compressed like diamonds. You know, high pressure environment, so their surface is very hard, so that they'll definitely make weird noises, clanking maybe, clicking, rattling. I mean, they would. I mean, if they would be made into animated and fully realized character, they would need a sound. You know, what is that sound? But it would be a cool venue to venture down, to think about the sound. You know, why does it make the sound it does? Is there any cool examples in the world of strange sounds, which I'm quite sure there is, and we are just too stupid to know everything, right? So, hey, Amit, how's it going? Ice dye, probably, you know, like a cricket scrapes the legs together, which creates the cricket sound, right? It's playing violin on his own body parts, more or less. So I assume that these would probably do the same. They would use body parts to make noises rather than squeak or expand and use expend oxygen to make a noise, because that would be counter to what they are, right? High pressure, compact, compressed things. So let's go with they'd make some sort of clicking, scraping, click sound. Ice dye. That's fascinating. Hey, narrator. Yeah, absolutely. There is a really cool bird, by the way, with a massive beak, like it looks like a toilet lid, and it's like a 12-year-old human size, and it makes the weirdest noise ever. I don't know what it's called. Let me try to find it, actually. There we go. Instantly. Do you guys hear this? No, you don't. Come on, make your noise. predator. Not the bird alone is fucking weird. So definitely something like that, you know, like where there's actual physical sound rather than generated. So that will be a cool. Hey, Slumpen. Cheers. Bob Ross hitting his brush. Yeah, yeah, it's that oil that oil painting beak noise. Yeah, it's so. I mean, they would have. I don't think they would have muscles. They would probably have muscles inside their exoskeleton. I mean, insects have muscles, right? And they have specific joints, and all these things. So there's a lot of real world elements that I could model the physiology of these things on, right? There's definitely muscles, not visible muscles, and any joint would need to be protected. But one of the ideas I had is where it's kind of hinted on here, where I'm drawing, but is that the legs themselves, when they're in a high pressure environment, they connect their own limbs in, right? So they become smaller because the pressure is harder. So they suck their legs in a little bit, they compact their body in, so they become very flat, very streamlined and square, so that they can move around in this high pressure environment. And then when they breach, they expand into the breach. Frogs, enjoy the time. It's nice. So that's what I'm currently kind of. I will finish painting these bugs offline or on an extra stream. Tomorrow, I want to start on a new character. And I had this very loose idea of a messenger. A messenger that drives a tunnel moped, tunnel bike, whatever that is. So the idea is, right, how do you send information through lava tunnels? I mean, you can only have short distance radio, right? Because it can't go through solid ground. Radio, you know, gets absorbed by the ground and it stops working. So you can only have more or less like down the tunnel you can radio each other, right? And how do they communicate back with the HQ and all that, right? If it's still World War II kind of technology, and for all you new people, I can show you. I've showed the people on the stream before, but it's based on a few of images I've done a couple of years ago. Diesel punk, Nazis or Axis versus Americans. Just chunky, strange pressure suits going to war against each other. exoskeletons in kind of World War II setting. A bowl cut. Lux. No, I don't. Please do tell me. One of the insects I talked about on Friday, about one of the sources of possible inspiration for these bug or these crabs was, I don't know the English word for them, but in Swedish they're called moose flies. These flies live on the eyes of the moose, and they go behind the eyelid because they are flat and they can squish themselves and go behind, and they live inside the eyeball, or not inside the eyeball, but inside the cavity. And if you take one of those flies, if you manage to grab it, you can't squish it, you can't mush it like this. How the only way to kill it is you grab it and twist its own body so it gets crushed that way. But you can't mush it. So that's one of the ideas or base of the inspiration for these, as I was concepting them on Friday, was like how can I make these pressure crabs believable or tangible? I didn't look up the fly. It's just the idea of the fly that was appealing, which I based the idea on. Or one of the ideas. I did 3 sketches, and those 3 sketches I explored visually or conceptually the idea of this crab, right? Lux, yeah, go ahead. Krasgar. Oh, cheers. Cheers. Miguel, yeah. Telephones. That is one sick spider. That's crazy. Yeah, so anyway, so what I want to start, next concept I want to start exploring, because I think this is conceptually done. It just needs a pretty wrapping, and this concept could be shown and explained, right? I've explored the concept of it, the idea of it. It's more or less fleshed out. Now it's just time, noodling, detailing to explain it fully. So that's I don't need to really stream this anymore. So tomorrow, I want to show or start exploring the idea of a tunnel messenger. Maybe he runs telephone lines, or something, you know. But I had this idea of a motorcycle that is bad at turning, and he rides it and he guns it to the base, or guns it with the phone line just to reach the tunnel, you know, like a lava tunnel. Is just, it doesn't matter if you're bad at turning because you can ride the wall. So the idea is like, what does that guy look like, and what does that bike look like? And that's what I want to explore next. Shintao, oh man, my apologies, sir or ma'am. I don't know what you are. Hey dear Bart, how's it going? So that's tomorrow. I'll start the tunnel runner tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. But I think it'll be fun. It will be the same process. I will start sketching out, I think, bike and character at the same time. You know, like, what is the idea? How can we find a red line through the concept? What are the ideas I have? What ideas can we come up with? And then probably following stream we start refining, and the following stream we're gonna try to find a candidate for the idea, right? Where more or less what I'm doing now, you know, what does it look like? So if that's interesting, click follow, massage that follow button. Doot, doot. Miguel, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I am well aware that they used phone lines. You know, there's movies where they kill the phone line guys constantly. It's like Enemy Behind the Gates, right? They snipe the phone line guy, and then that guy dies, but they just send another guy straight after to pull the line again. There's no option. That phone line has to go up. I'm well versed in Second World War. I used to go to a lot of museums and absorb it all. I love the aesthetics and the idea of Second World War, not the whole people dying. That's a horrible thing about Second World War, but the ingenuity and the ideas and the battle machines they made is fascinating. But it's sad about the reason behind it. But the machines and the ideas and the solutions for that time is like a concept art's amazing dream. Captain Bowes, yeah, that sax. I should make like a little video, like in how a man walks in to a room and that saxophone, and then you see a finger on the follow button, click, click, click. Zeolin. All right, so I might as well do a version, a quick version. Let's do it with the side view. So the idea is now this is expanded mode, right? This is in normal pressure. So what the crabs do, oh man, is that they compress into each other. The limbs compress. The body compresses. The body parts connect into each other, meaning they sink down. Let's actually do it like this. They sit a lot closer to the ground. And they become a lot smaller. But I want to push that aspect a lot more. So I think probably I need to segment the body in more places, so it can compress further into itself and lessen the silhouette of the arms. But the idea is it should shrink significantly and tuck the arms in underneath. So it becomes significantly smaller. And then when it attacks and in normal atmosphere, it can expand out and become significantly more dangerous. That's the general idea, right? Why it looks so big. Oh, over there, yeah, but I moved it. Eyes die. No, I mean, go back on Friday. I'm completely sober. Had this, well, actually, the original idea wasn't born on stream. It was an idea I had earlier about pressure crabs, just like spiders coming at you from tunnels and sucking you into holes in the wall. That's kind of like the base idea, which I talked about on Friday. Which is on YouTube, if anyone is interested. Link underneath the window. Right, so we got the basic idea here. I'm kind of happy with it. We got the side view, we got compressed view, we got the posed view. I will render this up offline, and I think we got a pretty solid idea of what the enemy, or the second enemy is, right? And you can start like extrapolating ideas from this. Oh, you know, like what's a bigger one, what's a smaller one, what does the babies look like? And because we've already figured out the basic principles of the creature, actually coming up with another creature based on the same principles should be significantly easier, because it's the road here that's hard, not the drawing part. Hey, Miss Monster. Oh, thank you very much. And I must say, you've been making massive strides on your art. So happy to see. Cielin. All right, I will show you guys when it's finished. Whenever I have time to finish this. But for the time being, let's find a suitable raid victim to pass the gauntlet onto, pass the torch to, I guess. I see that a new person is doing something interesting, so let's raid that person. Is that how you spell your name? So usually for all you new people, what happens is it's only a 30-minute stream, but it's the exact same time every day. And after the stream ends, I raid someone. And I always raid after the outro, so don't go anywhere. If you like what you've seen, you like the principle of the idea, come back, click that follow. And we're gonna raid a new person called Kuyayipi. I have no idea, but she is doing studies, anatomy studies, so I think that could be cool. Eyes Die, no, unfortunately not. But please do suggest that next time. Let's do the outro. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everyone, for the love and subs and all that stuff. Good stuff. See you tomorrow. Bye.